All right, welcome back to video lesson 2, and this is module 2. We are into video lesson 2. I want to believe that you did a ton of practice on what you did in the previous lesson, and in this lesson we're gonna dive deep and let's see whether we can finish up with changing or customizing our company preferences, right? So let's just dive in. We're going to start with how to activate multiple currencies, including your home currency. By home currency, I mean based on the country where you are operating from, you can activate your own home currency. So by default, QuickBooks will use your home currency. Okay, so I want to show you how to do that. So again, we go to edit menu, and then we come down to preferences. And here we are. So we're gonna go to multiple currencies and we go to company preference. Now what you notice here is track multiple currency in this company. We have no, I use only one currency, and currently the system is using US dollars. Now if this is not the kind of currency used in your country, then you cannot do business using US dollars. For instance, here in Kenya, we don't use US dollars. So I wanna make sure that my system operates using Kenyan shillings. So the question is, how do you do that? You basically come here and yes, I use more than one currency. I'll click that option, and what you got, you get this message. You're about to turn on multiple currencies. Important to note, if you haven't backed up your file recently, we recommend you click no and create a backup before turning on multiple currencies. Now QuickBooks takes the security of your company data very important, or very seriously, and it will keep on reminding you to do a backup, because you know anything can happen when you're turning on a certain feature and you don't want to lose your company data. Now once you turn on multiple currencies, it cannot be turned off. So that's something you need to know. You can't create batch invoices when using multiple currencies, and batch invoices means you cannot invoice several clients at once if you're using different currencies. Okay, so that's why if you go to turn on multiple currencies, you cannot do a batch invoice, because different invoices, depending on where the customer comes from, you're gonna have to use a different currencies, and so you cannot do a batch invoice. And then, are you ready to turn on multiple currency for this company file? Of course, yes. So when I click yes, there we are. So now what you notice is when we were right here, this one was inactive. Okay, this is the default US dollar. It's what the system is using, but we wanted to have more currencies active. So the moment you click here and you say yes, this one becomes very active, and that means I can click on this drop down list right here and I can add more currencies from different countries. So let's see what happens when I click there, and what you see is Canadian dollar, you have euro, and you have Japanese yen, and then US dollars, which is currently active. Okay, this is a currency that is currently active in the system, but I want more. So where do you get more? I come here, view more currencies. I'm gonna click there, and here you are. What do you notice here? We have Tanzanian shillings, we have Thai baht, we have Jogan, we have UAE, with all different types of currency from different countries across the world. We have Zambian kwacha, we have Zimbabwean dollar, Yemen real. So there are all these different currencies here. So what I need to do now is I need to look for my home country, rather my home currency, and activate it. So right here, I'm looking for Kenyan shilling. So I'm going to scroll here until, all right, I'm looking for Kenyan shilling, and they are arranged in alphabetical order. So I'm looking for KKK, and Kenyan shilling is here. So click Kenyan shilling. Now Kenyan shilling is currently inactive element. Would like to make it active. So you have, would you like to use it once, make it active? So this is my home currency. I'm gonna be using it over and over again. So I don't want to use it once, I want to make it active. So click make it active. And again, you are about to select a non-US dollar home currency, which is Kenyan shilling. Something important, Intuit payroll and online banking services are available only on US dollar home currency. We're not going to be using this system for online payment. We're going to be using locally on our company's desktop, no online payment. So this one will not affect us. So good to proceed. I want to turn it on. So are you sure you want to select a non-US dollar home currency? Of course, I'll say yes. There we are. So now what is active in the system is the Kenyan shillings. And that's how you activate multiple currency. I can come here, and if you're a student from Tanzania and that's what you're using, use Tanzanian shilling. So you can check for Tanzanian shilling. Let's see whether we can see TT. Here it is. I'll click Tanzanian shilling and then I'll make it active. So depending on your country and the currency that you use, you can activate your home currency. So if you're from South Africa, check for South Africa. If you're from Uganda, you check for Uganda. All different currencies are here. So get back to our home currency here in the country, and you're going to be using Kenya shilling. Of course, you're a student from a different if you're an international student from any other country, then you activate your own home currency. So go and look for Kenyan shilling, looking for where we have K, and here it is. So we activate it and you're done. Then you go to payments. You may changes in multiple currency. Do you wish to save them? Of course, yes. Say yes. Again, your company file will now close and reopen with your updated settings. That's cool. Say okay. There you go. And that is it. So now let's continue. Payment. Now what is here? We just done multiple currency. Okay, you mentioned this on preference. Do you wish to? Of course, yes. And then you go to payments. Now what we have here, receive payments, automatically apply payments. Of course, yes, you want the system to automatically apply payments when you are making a transaction. Now automatically calculate payments, of course, yes. What you need to understand here, and I think this is very, very important for you to pay close attention, on the payment section, you can set up your company preference at this section so that all payments received are automatically deposited in the undeposited funds account. You want to direct your system where to keep every single payment. You get where that money should go. That money should go on account we call undeposited account, or rather undeposited funds, and then from there you can now move that money from a deposited account to whichever bank account that you want to use. So you want to make sure this one is active. What this one does is you tell in the system, any payment I receive from a customer, that payment should be taken directly to undeposited funds, and then later on we can take the money and transfer them from undeposited funds to any bank account of our choice. I shall show you how to do money transfer using QuickBooks. So I want to make sure this one is active. Then you have invoice. What we have here, sign up for Intuit Payment Network first, so your customer can pay you invoices online. We're not going to be doing anything online, so this one is not applicable. We don't need to activate that one. Actually, our online payments are off. We're not gonna need that. So that's all we need for the payment. Payroll, Okay, you made changes in payment preference. Do you wish to save them? Of course, yes. There you go. And then on payroll and employees, we have QuickBooks payroll features. We have full payroll active. So just leave that one as it is. It's not much to change here. Copy honey details from previous paycheck. Recall quantity field on paycheck. Recall hour field on paycheck. You just want to have these fields shown on the paycheck. Job costing, class and item tracking for paycheck expenses. Assign one per class, entire paycheck. Now these ones you don't need to change anything here. Display employees list by. Now when you are looking at your employees, you can tell the system how you want to see the list of your employees. They can be listed by their last name, or they can be listed by their first name. Of course, you want to have them listed by their first name, and that's all you need here. All right, let's see. All right, let's go to reminders. Now here you activate those things that you want this system to remind you. Checks to print. You want it to show you a summary of the checks to print. If you don't want the system to remind you, you activate don't remind me, and the system will not remind you of any checks to print. If you want to see a summary of any given check that have been printed, you activate that one. Now of course these are what you call options. One of these has to be active. You cannot activate this one and this one, so you decide which one to activate. Now if you tell the system to remind you of the checks to print, by activating this one, you need to tell the system days before check date. What the system wants to know is you want to be reminded when you're supposed to write a check. It wants to know, do you want to be reminded 5 days to the date when the check should be written, or you can change this one to 10 days. So if I want to be reminded to write a check that I'm supposed to write next week, and let's say today is on Monday, I'm supposed to write that check next week on Monday, I can just delete that one and enter 7 days before, actually 2 days before, or even 3 days before. So what I'm telling the system is, on Friday, remind me to write a check. Remind me that I'm supposed to write a check on Monday. Okay, so it will remind me 3 days before the date I'm supposed to write that check. So these are basically reminders, and you can activate them and deactivate others. Print checks, paychecks to print, invoices to print, activate show summary. So basically here you activate what you want to activate and you deactivate what you think you don't need. Invoices, overdue invoices. I want to be reminded of overdue invoices, so I'm going to activate remind me. Okay, 5 days after due date. So if I have overdue invoices, I want the system to remind me 3 days after the due date. Okay, and almost due invoices. This one is inactive because we don't have invoices yet. Sales receipts to print, you want to see the summary. Sales orders to print, you want to see the summary. Inventory to reorder, you want to see the summary. Assembly items to build, all these ones, all the summaries are activated, but you can activate what you want. If you want to only see the list, you can activate list instead of summary. Summary means you're gonna see much more details as opposed to show the list. If you pick show the list, just show you a list of assembly items to build. So you wanna be able to see the summary. Bills to pay. I want to be reminded of my bills to pay. So I'm gonna act. Oh, okay. Sorry here. This is the don't remind me. So you don't want to activate that one. You don't activate. Don't remind me. So bills to pay. You want to have the system remind you. Please don't activate this one. This one is don't remind me. Don't remind me basically means okay. Nope. Let me just clarify this. Let's see. Print checks to print. Don't remind me 3 days before. Remind me. Okay, so you don't wanna activate this one. You wanna, because when you activate any of these, you tell the system don't remind me. So you wanna activate these ones. Basically what this means is on the section remind me, you can change this here. If you want checks to print days before check date, if you want to be reminded about it 3 days before check date, you activate this one. You enter 3 days or 4 days, whichever days that you want, but do not activate any of this. This one you tell the system don't remind me. So when it comes to bills to pay, I want to be reminded of the bills to pay 10 days before the due date. So if I'm supposed to clear a given bill for a given vendor a few days, I want to be reminded 10 days before the due date. That's very, very important. When you're running a business, you cannot remember all these things, and this system will help you remind you some of those things you're supposed to do that you cannot remember. So that's it. This is how the system works. And oftentimes when it comes to reminders, they are set for you accordingly. You may not need to make any changes here. So that's it. We go to what else here? Sales and customers. Of course, we wanna say the changes here that we made. So click yes. Now let's come to sales and customers. Sales forms. Use your shipping. Now if you have a very specific company that you use for shipping, default means anytime you deliver a good to a given customer, you use a specific company to ship those goods or deliver those goods. You have a very specific company that you use, you can activate it here. Okay, basically I'm saying that always I use DHL when I'm delivering or shipping goods to the customer. If you don't have any specific one, then you deactivate it. Now I can just delete that one, just leave it open. Okay, one about duplicate invoices, of course, yes. Choose template for invoice packaging. Now the what you call templates when it comes to the receipts and invoices, and you can use any template here. There are different templates. Actually, these are for invoices. There are different templates. We have a product invoice if it's invoice for a product the customer bought. If it's progress invoicing, you can pick a template for progress invoicing. So you can pick any of these here, but don't worry about this. You can always make or pick the one that you want at the point of creating the invoice. So what you pick here doesn't really matter. You can change it when you are invoicing the client. Of course, sales orders. Enable sales orders. That is, if you make an order for a given client, then you can enable sales orders. So just leave everything here enabled. One about duplicate sales order numbers, of course, yes. Don't print items with 0, of course, yes. So we don't need to make any major changes here. Most of this is okay. So we go to sales taxes. Now this is very, very important. If you don't want to be using sales taxes, if you say you have this question, do you charge sales taxes? If you say no, the system will not charge sales taxes. You want to say Yes. Okay, unless you're running an NGO where you don't charge sales taxes, you want to use yes, I charge sales taxes. And then you can include your most common tax item here. Now currently we haven't set up any sales tax, and you can do it right here. We can set up sales tax right here. I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to click new, and here we are. This is our sales tax. There are different items in the sales tax, but we are just focused on sales tax item. Okay, now sales tax name, and let's call this one value added tax. Okay, that's the sales tax name. Actually we should call it VAT, and I can copy this one. Let's call this one VAT, so delete it. VAT, that's what you see in the country, and it's called sales tax. Now here what you need to do is you want to enter the percentage. Okay, so the sales tax percentage, it's 16%. Let's assume that our sales tax is 16%. That's VAT. So the item here is sales tax item, and the name of the sales tax is VAT, which is basically value added tax. You can actually even change this one and call it value added tax if you want, or you can even type this one in full and call it value added tax. Added tax. There you are. Tax agency, vendor that you collect for. All right, so who is your tax agency? Where does your tax go? Okay, we have different vendors here. Now where does our tax go to? They go to Kenya Revenue Authority. That's where our taxes goes to. So we don't have that vendor right here. Okay, so I can add that vendor. All right, so for now let's add that vendor because the vendor does not exist. So I'm gonna click here, and let's see, I'm going to click add new, and vendor name, just a minute. Let's see, item value added tax. Yeah, that's a sales tax rate 16. You remove this one, 16%. All right, let's add new vendor, and let's call this vendor let's see, let's say we remit this tax to John McDonald, and John McDonald works in Kenya Revenue Authority. Kenya Revenue Authority. That's Kenya Revenue Authority, or it's called KRA. And John is a Mr. Okay, fact, let's use small caps. So this is Kenya Revenue Authority. All right, he's a Mr. First name is John, and first name is John. The middle name is say Mark, and then last name is Donald. Okay, and that's it. It's contact John McDonald. It's Kenya Revenue Authority, and then we can enter the phone number. Let's say it's 0725896358. And alternative phone number, we don't have an alternative phone number. That's it. You can fill this other details that you want if you want. Let's email. We can say KRA at info dot co dot KRA.com. So let's say that's the email. If you have any other alternative contacts, you can add them right there. And then let's come here, let's enter the, I'm gonna change this one. I wanna have it in small letters, so I'm gonna have Kenya. Actually, I'm going to click edit to edit everything. So click edit, and address is going to be PO Box. It's going to be Kenya. So it's going to be Kenya Revenue Authority. Kenya Revenue Authority. It's to be PO Box. Let's just enter a number, and that should be PO Box. And for the not, let's remove this not. Country Kenya. City, let's have Nairobi. All right, now for the province, leave it as it is. Postal code, you can enter postal code of your location if you want, and then you click OK. Let's see what we have. So for the details filled, and that's all we need. Opening balance, we don't have opening balance right at the moment, so you click OK. There you are. It's gonna have that tax agency associated with you're gonna have that tax associated with the tax agency, and then you click OK, and there you go. You have now added or created a tax, sales tax, and it's called value added tax. Now, once you have it created and you've assigned it a given vendor or the agency that collects tax in your country, let's come to assign sales tax codes. Now, sales tax codes determine if an item you sell are taxable or non-taxable. Remember, certain items are taxable, others are not taxable. Taxable item will be assigned code tax, and the ones that are not taxable, they'll be assigned none. So if you see any indication on the column of sales tax indicated none, then that means that product is not taxable. Now, identify taxable amount as T for the taxable when printing. Now, this is a single code that is assigned to any taxable item. So when you see T, it means that product is taxable and value added tax has been included. So we leave this one as it is. We don't need to change anything there. When do you owe sales tax? Now, when do you owe sales tax? Do you owe sales tax when you make a sale and the payment is done promptly, that is on the basis of cash basis? Or do you owe sales tax the moment you create an invoice? When are you supposed to pay those taxes? When are they included in your report? So oftentimes we operate with accrual basis. That means any moment you write an invoice, whether the invoice is paid or not, that's when the system will include your sales taxes. If you talk about upon receipt of payment, then it will wait until you receive the payment for that given invoice. Okay, so let's go with this one. Write an invoice, then the tax is included in the reports. So that is it. When do you pay sales tax? If you pay your sales tax monthly or quarterly or at the end of the year, you indicate when you pay your sales tax. In this case, let's just go with monthly, and then that's it. So that's what you'll find in the company preferences when it comes to sales taxes. So that is it. That's how you do company preferences. We have sent forms, spelling, and all that. Now let's come to spelling. Let me point out something. Click yes to save the change you meant. Updating sales tax. Make all existing customer taxable. Of course, we want all our customers are taxable. Make all existing non-inventory and inventory parts taxable. We can deactivate this one, then you click OK. There you are. Now let's come to spelling. Now when it comes to spelling, you want to make sure that all your documents, whether they are sales receipts or customer names, invoices, estimates, and all that, that your documents look professional. So you don't want to send a client a document that has spelling mistakes. Okay, so that's why this one becomes very, very important. So you want to make sure that you always check spelling before printing. What happens is QuickBooks will check all your documents, whether they are spelled correctly before you do any printing. If QuickBooks notices something that's not grammatically correct or as a spelling mistake, then it will pop up and indicate, point out that to you. So you want to activate this one. Now you can be very categorical and tell the system what to ignore when it's looking for spelling and grammatical errors. So you can activate here and tell it what to ignore. Ignore what? With internet addresses. If something has internet address like this one, you can tell the QuickBooks to ignore it. Of course, we know that website address is not, it has no grammatical standards, so QuickBooks will see that as a grammatical error or as a spelling mistake. So you want to tell it to exempt that. Numbers, you want to tell it to exempt numbers, capitalize first letter. Yes, if you activate this one, QuickBooks will capitalize the first letter of every given paragraph or name. If you want to make all the letters uppercase, you activate this one. If you want it to handle mixed case like QuickBooks, whereby the Q is capital, the B is capital, but the rest they are not, so you can also activate this one. So for our case, we're gonna go with this one. We don't want to have issued email and website addresses. We don't want to have issue with numbering, and we also want to calculate the first letter. So activate that one, and then that's it. Now we have time and expenses. Of course, we want to activate that one. So click yes to save the change that you've made. And then lastly here we have time and expenses. Let's go to common preferences, see what we have. Time tracking. Do you track time? Of course, what we're going to be doing in this training course, I'm going to show you how to work with projects that involve a lengthy engagement with that client. That means jobs. And then I'm also gonna show you how to be selling products. So I want you to have a good understanding of both, whether you're doing contracting jobs in the construction industry and you want to set up your system to be able to run your business, whereby you have a long engagement with that client when you're doing long projects, or whether you're selling a product. Okay, so I want you to have a good understanding of both. So in this case, when you have a long engagement with the client, you want to be able to track time. So say yes, we want to be able to track time. First day of the week, it's gonna always be Monday. We don't need to change anything there. Invoice option: create invoices from a list of time and expense, and you have track reimbursement expenses as income. All right, let's see. Create invoice from a list of time. No, you can just leave this one as they are. You don't need to change anything there. The key is we're gonna have to track time because we're going to have long engagement client project. So basically that is it. That's how you set up your preferences. Okay, if you want to explore the rest, a few of them that you've not looked at, you can explore them, but those are the major ones, and that is how you set them up. So you click OK, and that is it. So what we're going to do now is you're going to give the system some time to make the new changes we've activated. Let's close this one, and then I'll also maximize this one, and there you are. So we've made some custom changes on our system, and now it looks different, and now we can operate from there. So that is how you make company preference changes so that the system accommodates your type of company. Now there's a little bit more that we are going to do, but we're going to dive into that in the next lesson. So what do you expect in the next lesson? The next lesson, we're going to learn how to set up users. I'm going to show you something to do with what you call multi-user mode. I'm going to explain what that is and what it does. We're going to talk about single user mode. I'm going to explain to you what that is and what it does. And we're going to talk about account copy. I'm going to explain to you what that is and what it does. And we're going to talk about how to set up users. I'm going to show you how to set up those users. And then after that, we're going to dive deep into other things. So for now, I want you to practice changing company preference. So setting up company preferences. Get good at it. It helps you customize QuickBooks based on the type of business that you're running, whether you're running whether you are in the construction industry, whether you're selling purely products, whether you are using invoices or not using invoices, how to set up your own home currency, all that stuff. You find all that in the company preference. So get good at that, and then I'll see you in the next lesson as we dive into more settings that are very, very important. Until then, practice, and I will see you in the next session.